hello. I didn't see you there. I'm Dr. Boris Splitslinkerovsky. Back home, I'm a very good gymnast, and I'll be your host today. Over the course of human history, we have slowly but surely come to understand the way our bodies work and the proper ways to treat them in states of illness or pain. Advances in medicine and shifts in the way people viewed the human body during the Renaissance have revolutionized science and medicine for hundreds of years. Here to help us understand these advancements are Professor Mel N. Collier, Reverend Sanguini, Dr. Cho L. Eric, and Philosopher Phlegm. Let us turn first to Professor Mel N. Collier.
So, Da Vinci, he was important. He was like one of the first people to cut dead bodies open and study them, despite this being like not okay with the church. I mean, he did other stuff that was cool, like being the first medical illustrator and drawing some of the first anatomical diagrams of the shoulder and the head and the torso and the leg and stuff. And they're pretty accurate, you know. He pretty much just set the standard of the study of the inner workings of the human body and revolutionized the role of the body in art and science. The body's a machine, you know, whatever, stuff like that.
At the end of Da Vinci's life, the plague was in full swing in Europe. A revolutionary doctor emerges from the ashes, a scientific healer, Nostradamus.
Nostradamus used more progressive methods than any other doctor in the 16th century. Nostradamus practiced effective hygiene, like removing garbage and corpses from the street, which cut down on the rat population that spread the plague. He also kept his patients clean by encouraging bathing, changed their soiled sheets and clothing, and kept the plague victims isolated. He fed his patients low-fat diets and provided plenty of fresh air. He also stopped the practice of bloodletting, which we now know severely weakens anybody fighting disease. Nostradamus also developed his own concoction called the rose pill, which was an herbal lozenge made from rose hips and probably proved most effective because it was rich in vitamin C. All these seemingly simple and basic treatments were vastly different than anything being practiced at the time, making Nostradamus a noted physician of his age and a key historical figure in the history of medicine.
While Nostradamus urgently sought to help the victims of plague, Harvey focused on the bigger picture, striving to comprehend the inner workings of the human body, to search out systems still shrouded in mystery.
We tend to remember significant figures in history by their single greatest contribution. For William Harvey, it is the discovery of the inner workings of the heart and the circulatory system. Indeed, this discovery changed our common understanding of the human body and revolutionized medical practice until this very day. Yet perhaps more intriguing is the shifting role of the body in Harvey's natural philosophy. You see, the 17th century was a time of great transition in epistemology, that is, how we go about knowing the world and our place in it. For centuries upon centuries, philosophy had relied on the abstract categories of classical thinkers such as Aristotle to know and make sense of the world. A profoundly detached approach, an attempt of the mind to transcend and comprehend all that is physical, including the body. However, Harvey exemplified the Enlightenment shift towards the body and its sensory observation as the most reliable source of knowledge. Who can argue with first-hand experience? Consequently, what we get in the writings of Harvey is a newfound appreciation for the body, the sensory knowledge, still interpreted through the logical lens of Aristotle.
200 years later, new technology brought about enormous medical advances. Behold, the invention of the vaccine that would save countless human lives now and forevermore.
Edward Jenner. His journey toward his renowned discovery of the smallpox vaccine began at the age of 14. He overheard a dairymaid say that cowpox would prevent her from getting smallpox. This idea would follow Jenner for the rest of his life. Finally, in 1796, Jenner began to reveal the truth behind that statement made years ago. His experiment main component was Sarah Nelms, a dairymaid. She had contracted cowpox from her cow, and Jenner used the fresh pus from the pox on her hands to inoculate a small boy named James Phipps. The initial inoculation resulted in a fever with some small aches in the axillary region, and the symptoms resided within several days. The next step in the experiment was to use the real deal, smallpox discharge. And as predicted, James did not get smallpox. Jenner ultimately solved the mystery behind a disease that claimed several lives and contributed to an endless revolution.
The Age of Reason was one of the most transformative periods for the medical sciences. Thanks to the individual contributions of Da Vinci, Nostradamus, Harvey, and Jenner, the society went from the bam to the glam, putting to rest forever the widely held notion of the four humors. This has been a humorous history of medicine and the body, featuring the four humors, and brought to you by me, your host, Dr. Splits Flinkerovsky. Good night.